Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the first in the series of the numerological personal year videos with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. And I just want to say a huge heartfelt thank you for the amazing and overwhelming response I had to the Life Path series videos that I put out a couple of years ago now. I will put the links for those in the description box below so that you can find them and check them out. So this is for you if you're having, or you know somebody that is having, a personal year number one. This video is for you. This is about how you traverse the year, what you're likely to be doing, to be going through, and to be working with. So I'm so excited to do this because it's kind of like the part 2 to the Life Path series. So personal year number one. Your personal year number one, sorry, I can feel my mic doing something odd there. Your personal year number one, right? The tagline for this number is I am. This is about the individual. It's about the independent and individual self. This is about you as a core being. This is about the you in all of your entirety in response to the world, right? This is a year to really discover who you are, what you're like when you are independent. This is about really bringing everything in your life back to yourself. As well, whenever you get to the number 1 year, you've already gone through, unless of course this is your first cycle, in which case you shouldn't be watching this. Unless you're somebody's parent, in which case, okay, fair enough. But yeah, when you get to the number 1 year, this is kind of, it's like, you know, when the sun travels the whole zodiac and it comes back to your personal sun sign. Your 1 year, this is always about the year that you, effectively, this is the brand new start. Right, this is you've already gone through a 9 or 10 year cycle, give or take, and you arrive at the 1 year, right? This is where you find yourself really about your individual needs, about where it is that you go from here. So this is about I am. This number is strongly linked to the divine masculine. It's also known as the number of God. I know a lot of people think it's 7, but this number has, because it's the unity, the singularity, the one, you know, that is all. Now, in terms of this thing about the divine masculine, please, this is not about gender. It's about you tapping into a polarity of energy that you house within you. Whether you're male or female is irrelevant. You have an aspect of the divine masculine within you, just like we all have an aspect of the divine feminine within us. So when you hear this, please don't get triggered by it or don't switch off, because it's really not about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the polarity of the energy. So in your 1 year, just like on your Life Path series, you will have blessings and you will have lessons. Some of them overlap, some of them will be exactly the same as what you see in the Life Path, but we're going to talk about how these things might show up for you in, you know, on a practical level, on the everyday. So pioneering, this will be a year where you just have this sense that you need to do something new, that maybe you need to go somewhere new. This is a very fast, fun, packed year, because it really tends to present you with a lot of opportunities to do very different things. So your pioneering energy this year, you're going to be all about things that are new, things that are innovative, things that are different, maybe even things that are outside the realm of what you usually do, right? This is on the side of all of the blessings. So you're going to have your blessings, and you're also going to have your lessons to traverse through this year. That's life. It's infinite shades of light and dark, right? Powerful. This year you will get your vitality boost. You will naturally just feel like you've got more energy, like you're more vibrant, like you have more vitality within you. The number 1 is ruled by the sun, right? It has that constant sort of eternal type energy about it. So you will have the energy that you need within you to pretty much do everything. This is probably one of the only years that I could say you can burn the candle at both ends and not really have too much of a negative effect from it. So powerful, dominant. right? This is about being assertive. It's about you really being able to stand up for yourself. It's about you being able to challenge possibly even the status quo. You know, you'll have this energy in you where you will be able to show up as yourself and to stand up and be counted. It's a very brave, a very bold number, the number 1. So when you have your personal year number 1, expect that energy to be a big part of it. Aggressive. Now I've put this on the side of the blessings because as an example, if you're lifting those last few weights at the gym and you're tired and you're like, oh man, do you know what, I don't know if I'm going to make it, that aggression, when it's channeled into something you know, beneficial for you, you can utilize that energy. So that's why I've put it on the side of a blessing as well. You know, you've ever heard, like, if you don't know how to do something, attack it, right? This is that number 1 energy. Like, if you attack something and throw yourself into it wholeheartedly, that's what the number 1 wants from you. It wants that bold sort of daring, you know what, I'm going for it, I'm all in, I'm either all in or all out. It's, you know, there's kind of, and for that reason, one of the things I should have put here on the lessons is extremes, but I'll put that in a second. Creative. It's a very powerful creative energy, the number 1. It gives you that driving, divine, masculine projectile energy to do things, to make something happen. It gives you that creativity to bring things into being. And this is the thing, whether you're male or female, you have creative energy within you. How you express it, of course, is completely unique to who you are and the way that you were born. Daring, right? Your number 1 is going to see you bold and daring. Like, you will probably do things this year that might even shock you. You'll probably even have ideas that you think, wow, you know what, maybe maybe even last year I never would have even thought that I would be interested in this, or I would be taking a path like this. But you have that energy, that passion, that drive just to go after things, especially if they're new, especially if they're creative, especially if they're things that you aren't necessarily known for or even associated with. So on the side of your lessons, you know, the other half of this, the number 1 energy can be quite intolerant, right? It can be very sort of, you know, no time for bullshit, no time for slow pokes, no time for anything, right? And it can, in that respect, you know, you could find that frustration mounts this year because everything and everyone doesn't seem to be moving at the same pace as you are. Now, remember, not everybody is your sign. Not everybody is, you know, in terms of your astrology, not everybody is who you are. Also, not everybody has a 1 year. You know, some people might be in a 2 year or a 7 year, in which case they're going to be, you know, slow and easy and calm, and that might really frustrate you. The lesson in this is to find that and say, right, okay, where am I being intolerant of what I'm surrounded by, and how can I push beyond that energy to transmute it into something that is actually beneficial for me and the people around me. Tyrannical. Yeah, absolutely, right? And this comes into this whole thing with intolerant. You could find, and this feeds into the aggressive and the dominant part as well, because it is one, has to be the first, has to be the leader at the forefront. And you know what, if you're not going to do it my way, there's the highway. You could really find yourself going to extremes in that respect this year, where you're kind of very forceful, laying down the law, and, you know, kind of, you know, almost, and I know a lot of people think like, oh, you know, that's not me, but under this energy, it can definitely find some sort of expression within you. So just consider that. If something comes up this year and you think, no, I'm not doing that, and, you know, you just completely rally against it, ask yourself, are you being unreasonable, or are you enforcing your own will, right? Because the number one is all about your own willpower, your personal destiny and your personal desire, what you want and how you choose to make it happen within the scope of this year. I got my trusty notes here, so I'm going to go into that in a bit. Egotistical. One may well be the loneliest number, but it's also, in some respects, the most selfish number. So you could find yourself really self-focused. You could become a bit more of a preener than you usually are, like, you know, aren't I so wonderful, and get really sort of bought in on your own hype. And a part of the problem with that is because in the 1 year you've got the energy, you've got the drive to be that bold, daring, confident sort of self to present yourself and say, you know what, I'm here, this is it, this is what I am. You either love it or you don't. I don't even give a shit whichever one of those it is anyway. Right, so you could find that kind of energy really comes through this year. So try to find ways to temper it. You know, these will be the positive ways or the beneficial ways that you can express this energy. Inconsiderate, very similar to the intolerant, but inconsiderate in the respect of, you might not notice that you're overlapping somebody. You know, you might not notice that they're struggling because you're so far ahead in your own future, doing your own thing, you know, making all of your own stuff happen, and that's going to be of import to you. And it is, you know, it is really important that you use this year for that. But just have a look around you at others, especially if you've got a family, if you've got a partner, if you've got a spouse, you know, your work colleagues, because you could be so far ahead of them and not even, you know, notice that actually they're lagging behind, chugging for breath, like, oh my God, you know, just, you know, especially in a gym situation, right? You could be like loping along on the thing, or, you know, Hulk lifting weights and stuff, and your gym buddy's like, you know, struggling under the bar. Elitist. This whole idea of has to be first. You know, if you're not of the top grade, if you're not an alpha, I'm not interested. And this is this whole idea of elitist, right? So again, check yourself for this year. And then finally, aggressive. And you know, aggression when it's not channeled into something beneficial, it basically just looks like anger, frustration, and to be quite somebody that just acts like a complete prick. So consider that these are some of the lessons that you might need to learn to traverse this year. So what is the number one a year for, or a year to do? It is a year to be determined and original. It's a year to break free of your own mold, right? So whatever the 9-10 year cycle you had before, whoever you were then, scrap that, bun that. Whoever you were then is not who you are now. This is a year to completely, if you want to, reinvent yourself. The mold, when people think of you, like, or say for me, like when people think of Raf, crack that into and chuck it out. And this is a year to really reinvent yourself, to pull yourself apart and put yourself back together in the way that you see fit. And this is that kind of inner drive, focus, passion, determination that you could really tap into this year, that could actually be so beneficial for you. It really, really could, providing you channel it and you temper it in ways that consider the world around you, right? Start new things, seek fresh beginnings. Absolutely, right? Fresh starts is all the personal year number one is all about the fresh start. What do you want to do that is different, that's going to take you out of your humdrum, that's going to push you beyond your limits, that is going to show you what your limits are and also show you how to transcend and break them? This is the year for you to really just go for it, to get out there and push beyond everything that you thought was you, of everything that you thought you were capable of, and find out how much more there is to give, and ultimately how much further there is for you to go. So what else? To strike out on your own and forge a new path, or to forge your own path. This is a year, and obviously, you know, I've given you the lessons. Some of the stuff that you will need to traverse this year, though, is not being swayed by other people, not allowing them to change your mind or change your decisions, standing by everything that you do and saying, you know what, this is the way that I'm going, providing you're not sort of doing it through the lessons and you're channeling it in this way, you know, and you could be very persuasive this year as well. So use that persuasive energy to kind of bring people round to your side, rather than just tyrannically sort of enforce my will. You know, find ways to do it that are a bit more inclusive, but ultimately about being true to yourself. This is a year for you to leave the past behind. Whatever it was that happened in that last 9-10 year cycle, this is the time to close that chapter and look forward and keep walking. Walk through that door, close it behind you, and do not look back. This is a time for you to really go for it. This may bring, right, so this is the other thing as well, because of all of the plans and the opportunities that you're chasing this year, and everything is everything in you and you yourself are moving really fast and dynamically. This may not be the year where you see the results of what you put into motion, but that means that you must start it. This is the year where you plant the seeds, right? But not just planting the seed, oh, I'm just going to plant some seeds. This is like, yeah, let's tear this ground up. We're going to throw out everything that's not good for it. We're going to pull out the stones. We're going to put fertilizer in there. We're going to get in, get in there and be active about it. Then you're going to plant the seed and then cover it over and, make sure that there's no weeds or anything that can strangle your little seeds of the things that you're growing. This is that kind of energy, right? Be really proactive about this, because this is a year where you have the most energy to start things and to begin them. Consider anything and everything new, right? Even if it's stuff that, like I said, might not necessarily be associated with you, or things that you even considered that were anything like you. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at it, because there might be something in that for you this year. It's a year for you to explore yourself and your ideas. This is a year to really get to know yourself on a really deep level. What do I want? What do I need? What is my core being about? What are my core values? Where is it that I really come from within myself in order to meet the world in some way, shape or form? Not to be swayed or influenced by any other this year. That is your mission for the year ahead. And like I said, try not to do it through any of these, because then you're going to be in that sort of the more challenging and, quite frankly, less growthful energy, right? When you express it through the lessons, it doesn't really take you anywhere. You tend to get a lot of kickback and then you'll have to adjust. Whereas if you try to keep it all through this and in ways that you can, stay true to who you are but still be inclusive, ooh, that's going to be a dangerous number one. That's going to be a powerful number one year, because you're able to get what you want without treading on people. So people will give you what you want and they'll love you for it. Damn, that is, all right. This is not a year for new relationships. It's not a year for new bonds or relations, because you need that freedom to be and to express yourself in any way, shape or form that you see fit. It is a year where you kind of need to hang back from really forging any new connections. If you have to and it naturally arises, then obviously go for it if it feels right to you in the moment. But as a general rule, it's not really, if you're partnered and married, then you don't really need to consider it. One of the things that you might have to do is check in with your partner about how they feel about what you're doing or the directions that you're going in, right? Not necessarily to be swayed or let them change your mind, but just to let them know these are the things that I'm implementing. It makes such a big difference. Approach everything with fresh eyes. So whatever you're doing, even if it is something old, try to find new or innovative or creative ways or even original ways of doing that thing, because it will excite you, it will grow you, and ultimately it will switch it up, it will change it up for you. Be open to new and fresh opportunities, of which there are going to be many. It's like life is a smorgasbord this year, right? You're going to want to pick and try and taste everything, and you'll have the energy to do it. Hence the, not really a year for you to get tied up and settle down, so to speak. Be prepared to do old things in new ways. Got that. Be clear about what you start. So this is the vital piece of information for the 1 year. And I'm going to give one for each of the personal years. But the biggest piece of advice I can give you for the personal year number 1, be very conscious of what you start and you put a lot of effort into, because the chances are, especially the bigger stuff, anything that you start in a 1 year tends to permeate and colour and affect the next 8 or 9, depending on, what it is and how far reaching for it. And I tell you, I wish I had known that at my last personal year number 1, which was, I believe, in 2011 or 2012. And I really, really wish I'd known that at the time, because if I had, damn, that would have been a much better year than it was, and it would have been a much better cycle than it was. But it's, you know, it's taught me everything that it needs to. So each thing to its time and place. But if I can give you all of this information, you can go through your personal year, get out there and absolutely friggin' smash it. Why wouldn't I do that, right? That's the whole point of all of these videos, for you to optimize the year ahead that you have. So yeah, be clear about what you start or commit to now, because it's likely to follow you for the next 8 or 9 years, or 9 or 10 year cycle, depending. This is the best year to smash and break bad habits. If there's a habit that you want to form, going to the gym every day or anything like that, if this is your 1 year, whatever the habit that you want to welcome in, this is your year for it. Start it this year and make it a consistent thing that you do, and it will become so much easier. By the time you get to the end of the year, it will just be second nature, and it will come so easy. And again, because you're starting it now in this 1 year, it's going to permeate the next 9, 10 year cycle. This is, you know, you can get the jump on the next 8, 9, 10 years of your life if you do this 1 year right. Also, this is the year to smash or break bad habits. If it's smoking, if it's drinking, if it's porn, you know, whatever your vices are, this is a year for you to really get control of them, because of the self-knowledge that comes up, because of that need and that desire to be free of anything that holds you back or holds you down. You will see the limiting factors in your life in the personal year number 1, and you will do everything that you can to remove them. And that is a really powerful part of this energy. So ultimately, have fun, think outside the box, be original, and just go for it. This is a year for you to conquer all of your fears. It's a year for you to take those bold steps, to make those calculated jumps, risks, chances. You know, not to be reckless, because again, it's one energy, right? So you're going to have so much energy. Don't convince yourself that you can suddenly do a backflip if you've never done one in your life, right? You know, all things in their time and place. But if you decide this is the year for you to discover or to learn how to do a backflip, you can do that. Whatever, it's kind of like saying, right, what is it that I want? I want that. Okay, how do we make that happen? This, and this. And you'll be able to follow that path to see it through to completion. This is all about getting that started sort of energy, right? It's about that initial push, that initial energy where you just start the momentum. So keep that in mind. Have an amazing 1 year. Let me know in the comments how it's going for you. What do you think about this video? How has it helped you? What is it that you've discovered about the challenges and how they work in, of, or for, or around your life? I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff, you little firecracker. Go make it happen and have an amazing time. Whether you're watching this today, this week, this month, this year, or even years from now, I wish you so much of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.